Back with another EP. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. Whether you're here for a good time or a long time, I greatly appreciate you sliding through. If this your first time, do your boy solid. Don't make it your last time. Hit that subscription button as well. Hit that subscription button as well. We talk this good MMA, boxing, sports, parlays, predictions every single day, and not every single day and not just today. I appreciate the two super chats, in the chat to get your boy going. Shout out my girl, uh, Millie Mill. He said, "Good morning, sunshine. Good morning to you." And shout out my guy, Ray Buck. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna waste too much of y'all time with this. Right? I want to make this as swiftly as I can, as smoothly as possible. We got two cards. As you can see, I already got my picks floating around down at the bottom, right? I'm gonna put a little explanation, you know what I mean, to those, and we gonna do that for the PFL, and we're gonna do that for the UFC cards, right? So we got two cards to get through, and go waste too much, and go waste too much, more of y'all time, right? So let's go ahead and get into these picks. We gonna start with the PFL, right? We're gonna start with the PFL. You already see my picks down at the bottom of the screen for my people who want to rush through. You know what I mean? The boring part, I am gonna timestamp it at the end, right? But for video purposes, right, it is down there for my people who just want to drop in and look in. What I'm about to do right now actually is because I don't have my monetization going on this particular live stream. So what I'm about to do now is I'm about to turn on my monetization, and then you know what I mean. We can go and get into the show, right? But I'm gonna add a little explanation to the picks that you see. I'm trying to do this within 30 minutes, right? We gonna aim for 30 minutes as I already wasted, 5 of y'all minutes, right? So uh we'll just speed that thing up, you know what I mean? Once I do get into it, we'll just speed that thing up a little bit so y'all can so we can get this in a timely fashion, you know. But we're gonna start with the PFL, right? So y'all can see the picks and give y'all some explanation to what y'all looking at, so y'all not just looking at names. You know what I mean? Scrolling on the bottom of the screen, go explain to you what the stuff in parentheses mean, because you're going to see that in this portion, and you're also going to see that in the next portion as well. Those DOPs, those dogs, those stars and whatnot, right? That you see down there. So when you see a star, like you see at the bottom, you got DOP. I start with DOP, right? When you see DOP, that means that's a dog or pass for me, right? That's a dog or pass. And when you see DOG, that means that that's a dog, right? Dog or pass and a dog are two different things, right? I'm more confident in the dog. A dog is a fighter that I actually picked, the dog. A dog or pass is a fight that I haven't bet yet. But if I do bet it, it's probably going to be a dog or pass for me on it, given the fact that, the closeness of the matchup or the value in the pick, you know what I mean, itself. So just to try to explain what those symbols in those parentheses mean, right? So when you see DLP, that's a dog or pass. When you see DLG, that means that that's a live dog that I like and that I probably uh, am going to end up taking. Right now, this is Monday morning, right? So these picks are not final. I am going to give some picks out, right? These picks are not final. I do have a final pick, a bet that I already made on that UFC card, right? So I do have a final pick on that UFC card, right? But these picks, aren't final. I want to pick every fight. These bets aren't final, I should say, right? I should say more so than these picks aren't final, right? But these bets are not final. If you see a star by it, that means I like it and that I probably will be betting, right? So that's what, that means at the bottom. And now, with all that being said, let's go ahead with all that being said, let's go ahead and let's get into these picks, right? So we're gonna start with the PFL. You see at the bottom down there strong. We're gonna start with the PFL. We're gonna go from the bottom and work our way to the top. And again, the picks are at the bottom scrolling down there. So if you're wondering who I'm getting, you can always look, down there. But I'm about to give y'all, my explanations for it. So we got Dean Garrett versus Virus Jules, right? This is a dog or pass for me. Garnett, it's either Garnett or Garnett, right? Like Kevin. I'm gonna say Garnett, right? It's a Garnett dog or pass for me. I'm pretty sure Garnett's going to be the dog. If a Jules, is the favorite, then I take a Jules, right? Because I think, you know, I'm not really sure who the PFL wants to win this. Are they putting Garnett in this fight or Arjuge in this fight? Arjuge is the prospect. Garnett is coming off a big, huge underdog win, right? I normally bet with Garnett. I bet against him last time, locked up Chippewaski, and he beat Chippewaski, right? So I'm not going to make that same mistake twice if I do bet it. So it's either stay away from me or it's a dog or pass. The dog is probably going to beat Garnett, right? So I'm going to take Garnett in that fight. I think he'll be able to mix in, the striking and the wrestling. Uh, Virus is a young guy. He's a dangerous guy. He's seen more as a striker, right? So his advantage is going to be striking, long, being rangy. I think Garnett is going to want to get on the inside, and mix in his wrestling, right? So that's a dog or pass to me. Low confidence, Garnett, right? Moving along, we got Connor Hughes versus Alexandra. She's off. I'm going to take Hughes in this fight. I think Hughes can win it. I think Hughes wrestling is going to be superior. Connor Hughes can handle himself on the feet as well. Chizov, I don't think he's a bad fighter. I just don't rate him too high. I think Hughes is the better all-around fighter. Hughes could, knock you out standing. He could take you down, right? I like his all-around game. And Chizov's all-around game, I think, leaves a little to be desired. If we're being real, right, won his last fight by split decision. You split decision winning with Pasella. I don't think that you're going to beat Connor Hughes, right? So Connor Hughes for the win in that. I do like that Connor Hughes pick, which is why you see the 2 stars by Hughes' name down there, right? Moving right along, we got Antagonate versus Sorais. I'm going to go with Antagonate. This is going to be like his first, I don't want to say first real fight, but this is going to be like his first step up fight, right? He's 7-0. He's fighting, some real competition in this, right? His odds are normally like minus 2,000, minus 1,800. Don't get odds, don't get metrics for this year, right? This time we're probably looking at him up around maybe minus 500, minus 600, like that, right? I do like Antagonist for the win. I think he's, extremely dangerous striker. So, what's his name? Soros chances would be to wrestle Antagonist, right? He's pretty athletic, right? So, not haven't really seen somebody, constantly try to wrestle him yet. Have seen people try to unsuccessfully, and he mostly just ends up knocking them out, right? So I think he have just a little more resistance than normally in this fight, but he still should win it. We got Antagonist for the win. We got Ajuj versus the Pros. Ajuj just beat Lindu, right? He just beat Lindu. So I got Ajuj in this fight over the Pros. I rate him higher than the Pros. The Pros' only chance in this fight will probably be to get this thing to the ground, right? His wrestling isn't great. His submissions are better, than his wrestling. His only chance would be probably to get it to the ground. Is what I think Jude would be able to keep it standing. Jude just striking and touch him up. And if it does happen to go to the ground, I think Jude is good enough to not get submitted down there. I think he'll land so much damage on the feet, something like that. Even if he get taken down a couple of times, it won't matter. Which I really don't think he'll have much of. I don't really think he'll have to worry about getting taken down much, right? I don't think he'll have to worry about getting taken down much. You know what I mean? So a huge and it's a fight called Bachelor in Babley, 1-0 versus 2-0. I'm skipping that fight, not betting it. Ain't even gonna waste y'all time with that. We got Ibrahimov versus Oliveira. This right here is going to be a good fight. I'm gonna go with the wrestling of Ibrahimov. Oliveira probably wants to strike, right? But he has ground game as well. He likes to mix his game up. Right? I actually think his striking is better than Ibrahimov, but Ibrahimov is going to chain wrestle him over and over and over. He's not going to be standing on this fight, right? He's going to be doing his damnness and his best to keep this fight on the mat, right, to where he can use his advantages and get the win. So I got Ibrahimov in that fight. Like the Ibrahimov fight is why you see the stars back. Right, the ones with the stars back are the ones I have the most confidence in. Right now stuff changes, but right now those are the ones I like the most. Right, and Ibrahimov is one of the ones that I like the most. Chain wrestler, should just chain wrestle Oliveira, who is dangerous, but can't be dangerous when you land on your back, right? We got Patrick Habaroa versus Kevin Jousset. Yes, the Kevin Jousset coming from the UFC. This is going to be a pretty good fight, right? I think Patrick Habaroa is a PFL guy. They've been building him. They've been training him. He just beat a UFC guy. His name is passing me. I remember it when I go to his name not too long from now. But Kevin Jousset just lost to Brian Battle. And he lost to Jonathan McCallum, right? He's fighting Patrick Habarora. I think Habarora has an extreme grappling and wrestling edge, right? Jousset has a better chance striking, but Habarora can strike. If I'm Habarora, easiest path to victory, I'm going to just come in here and I'm going to take him down, which is what I would do if I was Habarora. Right? He probably want to throw, his jabs a little bit to get on the inside. He may end up, knocking Kevin Jousset out, right? Because Jousset may just be, just over the hill. At this point, Habara might be there to knock him out, but this most definitely is going to be Habara's toughest fight. He just beat Danny Roberts, right? In the first round with a first round knockout. I do think he's going to come out on the feet. Well, in that fight with Danny Roberts, even though he knocked him out, I wanted him to, grapple a little more, right? And he struck with Danny. In this fight with Kevin Jousset, I would want him to, grapple and wrestle a little more. And because I think Kevin Jousset is a little bit of a better striker, right, than Danny Roberts. So this fight is going to be interesting, but I do get Habarura for the win. But he is fighting, good competition, right? And Kevin Jousset. But I kind of feel like the PFL wants Habarura, to beat Kevin Jousset, right? So I think if he goes to a decision or something like that, Habarura will get that edge because he is one of the PFL's own, right? Homegrown. But I digress. Moving on, to the next. Moving on to the next fight, we got. Moving on to the next fight, we got. My bad, y'all. My dog just came in here. Moving on to the next fight, we got the women's fight, right? We got the Souza, right? I'm gonna take the Souza in that fight. She is fighting. Hold on, my bad, y'all. Let me get these the lineup back up. Let me get the lineup back up. But yeah, right. We got the Souza versus Wana Nawaska, right? We got Wana Nawaska versus the Souza 6-0 versus 4-0. In my mind, the Souza is probably going to be the dog, given she's coming from, PFL mania in the competition level. And the competition level isn't extremely high. And the competition level isn't extremely high where she's from over there in PFL mania, right? But I do think that she is legit, but she's probably going to be a dog in this, given that Water Nowinski is PFL's own, right? She's one of the PFL's own. She's also, homegrown through the PFL. So is the Salzer, right? But she's PFL main. So this fight is going to be interesting, right? This is going to be a dog or pass. If I was, this is the dog pick, right? I am going to play this given on the number of if the Salzer is a big dog, and it's most definitely getting played. It's about like plus 100 or something like that, and I may not, really mess with it when the odds hit right. But The size is a fighter that I like. She's going to be giving up some size in this fight too, right? So that's why I'm thinking she's also going to come in as the dog, right? But I think she is gritty, dangerous. Wanowski, I do think is the fighter that they want to win, given she's PFL Europe side. But that should be a good fight right there. There will be a dog pick though, meaning that I play it by itself. And we got Tyler Lapidus versus Liam Giddens, right? Liam Giddens is not a bad fighter, not a bad fighter at all. He hasn't fought a fighter the level of Tyler Lapidus yet. He's the Cage Warrior champion, if I'm not mistaken, if he still is, right? You can look down. His Cage Warriors is a pretty decent league, right? But Tyler Lapidus has fought in the league that the Cage Warriors is filtering to, which would be the UFC. Many times has many wins. In the UFC, beat Vince Morales, Cody Stanman, fought Barashot, right? Even beat Colin Lochran in the UFC. Colin Lochran, who fights uh PFL, right? Beat him in the UFC, right? Beat Naaman Nancy's in the UFC, right? So Tyler Lapidus, I just think is the better fighter. If you're picking against Tyler Lapidus this time, I think you kind of like just swinging. At this point, right? You're swinging as good as he's looked in the PFL, right? You kind of just swinging. You know what I mean? In the dark, right? And I ain't mad at you swing away because some people love Cage Warriors, right? Some people love Cage Warriors so much that you will see them picking, the Cage Warrior champion over, a guy with multiple UFC wins, right? I'm just not going to be the person that's doing it, right? If I die on that bullet, then I just die, on that bullet. I got Tyler Lapidus for the win. Both of these fighters have 4 losses, right? But the difference is the other one has 22 wins compared to one's 13 wins. And the one with 22 wins has fought much higher competition, right? So Tyler Lapidus for the win in that. One of my star picks. I do like it, that pick a lot. We got Chris Cyborg versus Sarah Collins. Yeah, I know I'm not betting against Chris Cyborg, right? So we got Chris Cyborg for the wins, for the win. This is one of the fights, that I like a lot. Cyborg should be able to handle business. Cyborg's going to come out there. She's going to throw her shit, and she's going to try to get you out of there. You got to knock Cyborg out, really, in order to beat him. When she loses, that's how she loses. She gets knocked out, trying to knock you out, which isn't often, right? 28 fights, 2 losses. So she's not getting knocked out a lot, right? But that's how you beat Cyborg. You have to knock out. And she's been boxing as of late. So her boxing, is crisp. Sarah Collins, it's pretty good. I just think Cyborg is like, the GOAT of Cyborg is top 3 women pound for pound at any level, right? And if you go, Amanda Nunes is the best woman of all time. After her, who we going? They just no, if you go Nunes number 1, Cyborg is probably number 2, then Kate Harrison and all that stuff. You know how to start playing out, but all time Cyborg is like top 3 woman in MMA, right? So she's never fallen away like Cyborg. Cyborg for the win over Sarah Collins. Cyborg for the win over Sarah Collins. And in the main event, we got Nemkov versus Ferreira. I don't know if Ferreira is still motivated after, making all that money, right? After winning PFL, then fighting Francis Ngannou, where he went to sled. Didn't look like he didn't want to fight Francis. Looked like he was extremely scared of Francis, didn't even really attack him. So maybe he comes out now, he's more aggressive and he can knock Nemkov out. I'm not going to pick him to knock Nemkov out because Ferreira can't wrestle for shit, right? So I'm going to just take Nemkov to wrestle him, right? But I very well do see a scenario where Ferreira, if Ferreira could keep this fight standing and stay on his feet, he could just punch out, you know what I mean, Nemkov from a distance. But I think Nemkov is good enough, crafty enough, light enough, mobile enough, nimble enough, you know what I mean, to get on the inside, get up under him, you know what I mean, and take him down and do it repeatedly if he has to. Because once Ferreira's on his back, he's dead weight. Once Ferreira's on his back, you know what I mean, he's a dead weight. You know what I mean? So I do got Nemco for the win in that one, right? And we don't have odds on this fight just yet, right? But if I'm looking at, just my favorite picks of who I think is going to win right now, again, no odds on the right, but just to give y'all some for stream purposes, right? I would say Hughes, right? I would say Hughes, Antagoni, Antanga, Antanga Naga, right? Right, that's Antanga Naga, Hughes, Antanga Naga, Cyborg for sure, right? Hughes, Antanga Naga, Cyborg. I'm trying to give you something nice. I'm gonna give you my 5 most confident picks. I'm thinking about odds right now. I'm trying to put you something nice. And Habara will have pretty good odds with Kevin Juice. Right. Let's go Habarora in that. He should have pretty good odds. That would be the riskiest one given that you said is good. Right. Hughes and Tanganaga. Let's go. Hughes and Tanganaga, Sabor, Habaraba, Lapilis, Ibrahimov, Jude. Lapilis, Ibrahimov, Jude. Let's see which one of those to round it out, man. It's gonna be one of those three to round this thing out. Ooh, the wrestling of Ibrahimov. We go put it on the wrestling of Ibrahimov. Let's go Ibrahimov, right? Ibrahimov, right? Right, let's go Ibrahimov. I'm finna drop this in the chat for y'all. And again, I don't got odds on this just yet, right? The odds are not out for this particular fight. For this card yet, PFL odds are not right. So I'm doing this with no odds. So I don't know what these is worth, right? But this is what I will be betting if I was going to bet them. These would be my top 5 picks. Now, I like more fights than this. This is a pretty stacked card, right? PFL. This is a stacked card. Like this last card, stacked. Hugely, hugely stacked, right? You know what I mean? So let me put that up there. My PFL. Was it my PFL top picks? Right. Hughes and Tanganaga, Sabor, Habaror, Ibrahimo, right? Boom. So those are my PFL topics. We'll drop that in there for show purposes so we could come back to it, right? So how long did that take me? 23 minutes. So I might not get this down in 30. I might get it down in 40. All right, let's go to the UFC, right? My bad. Let's go to UFC Vegas. Can y'all still hear me? Hold on, let me do this real quick. My bad. Put this on the charger. All right, y'all hit that thumbs up for you, boy. Y'all give me say, yeah, this gonna be an hour. This gonna be an hour video. Y'all make sure I'm gonna timestamp it though. I'm gonna timestamp it though. Let me do something. Y'all hit that thumbs up for your boy. Right. But my top picks are in the chat. My top picks are in the chat. I'm gonna timestamp it at the end, right? PFL top picks Hughes and Taganaga, Cyborg, Habarara, Ibrahimov. That's what I like the most. And that could change, not as far as me picking them to lose, because I don't think either of those fighters lose, right? But the order of it all, the order of it all could change, right? You know what I mean? But not my winners and my losers, right? If anything, I would just not, put them in the parlay rather than pick against, because I don't think any of those fighters losing. But when I parlay stuff, I try to make it, I like to avoid good, good matchups. I try to get like, the most. I try to get like the most, dog shit fighters. I try to get like, the most dog shit fighters, right? And then, parlay them all up to lose. You know what I mean? which works pretty well. Which works pretty well for me, right? When I stick to my guns and I avoid, all the BS. But I digress. I digress. So let's get to the UFC, Jack. Let's get to the UFC, Jack. Let's get to the UFC. Oh, he ain't gone too far, Patsy. You still in here? Okay, my bad. So let's go into the UFC. Let's go and get to the UFC dot Tapology. Musicology. I remember that we'll go to Tapology. My bad, y'all. My bad. But I digress, man. All right, let's go and get the UFC card so we can close this bad boy out, man. Let's go and close this bad boy out. So let's get to this UFC card. UFC Fight Night, UFC Vegas 112, UFC Fight Night. You know, whichever one floats your boat, right? Whichever one floats your boat. Royval versus Kape is the main event. So good main event, good little guy main event. Right? Good little guy main event. Let's start from the bottom. We'll work our way to the top, right? We got Blader versus Jamie Lynn North. Now I picked against Jamie Lynn North in her last fight and she won it. But I still don't think Jamie Lynn North is anything special, right? Blader is coming out for playoff, but I think Blader's wrestling and grappling is so good that she'll be able to, at the worst, just lay and pray on Jamie Lynn Horse, right? Jamie Lynn has an advantage on the feet. Blader can strike though, right? But she's much, much, much better on the ground, and that's what I'm going to bank on. Blader is coming off a layoff, right? But she's still young. She's a lot younger than Jamie Lynn North, right? So I think her being off isn't going to affect, her as much as it was if she was older or Jamie Lynn's age, right? Not to be age shaming these women, right? But just fighting. You know how y'all know how fighting go. But we're going to take Therese Blader for the win. I'm thinking like lay and pray, right? We got Alan Fry versus Guillermo Pat. Fry is the underdog in this, but I'm going to be going with Fry. I think Fry is a lot more dangerous than Pat. I think Fry has multiple ways to win the fight, right? Where Pat only, where he needs to get this fight to the ground. Fry actually can strike, and he's pretty good on the ground. You know what I mean? As well, offensively, right? So Fry is going to be a dog play. I'm confident in the Fry, right? I want to play on his own, right? He's plus 136 right now. Not really sure what it'll be later, right? So if it starts to grow, you know what I mean, then you let it ride. If it starts to shrink, then you go ahead and jump on it, right? But Fry is one of my dog plays on the UFC card. More confident in the UFC card than I am, I ain't gonna say that, right? Because I'm pretty confident in the PFL card. So I ain't even gonna say that I was getting rid of that, y'all, right? But I do like, the picks in the UFC card a little more, right? I should say that. We got Lena Santos versus Colton, in my bet in the UFC is actually a little smaller. It's a lot smaller, right? I made a bet in the UFC already. It's a two legger. You know what I mean? But I digress. We got Santos versus Croton. Interesting fight, right? I think Santos should win, but Croton is the one-man fighter who's not really want to lay down for you and let you win. You know what I mean, right? Croton can fight. She beat Liz Bohr. You know what I mean? She's coming from the LFA. She fought Jacqueline Cavalcante. She lost, of course, uh, right? But She can fight, but I do think Luna Santos is the better fighter in this situation, right? She also young. This is also youth versus this is also a newcomer versus a veteran, right? She also beat Liz Boyd, right? So they both got wins over Liz. She lost to Casey O'Neill. Casey O'Neill's pretty decent, right? She beat Maria Agapova, depending on how you rate her. She beat Stephanie Yeager, Juliana Miller, right? And she also came from LFA, right? So this is a LFA fight in the UFC. This is going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good fight. I think it's going the distance, right? I probably won't end up betting this fight, right? If I'm being perfectly honest with you, but I do think Santos should be able to win this fight, right? I want to go with Santos for the win in this fight. Probably won't be betting it, right? I think it's better spots to bet. You know what I mean? On the card. We got Asplat versus Sharif. I picked against Asplat on the contender series. He knocked Brody clean the fuck out. When you watch tape on Sean Sharaf, it's not very good. Doesn't look like a UFC level fighter. Asplat may or may not be a UFC level fighter, right? But I do think he's dangerous. He's bringing a fight. He's aggressive. So I'm going to go with that. He's the bigger guy, taller guy, better striker. So I'm gonna go with that in this fight. And I got Asplat, and I do like his chances in that fight. That's is why you see the star by his name. We got Neil Magny versus Amoso, right? Uh, Amoso should win this fight, right? But I really don't like betting against Neil Magny, right? Because it's like when you bet with Neil Magny, right, he'll lose you as a dog. Then you bet against him as a dog and he'll win. So Neil Magny, one of those ticking time bombs that I try to avoid, whether it's with him or against him, right? But Amoso should win this fight with his grappling and grappling. He should wrestling and grappling. He should be able to just lay on him. When I say wrestling, I just mean the take. I think he'll get the takedown. Some of these dudes aren't necessarily great wrestlers, right? But when you start grappling, I think they'll find a way to get the takedown, right? It's not the same thing because your grappling is like jujitsu, your hand fighting, clinch fighting, arm fighting, right? Your grappling and your wrestling is literally like double legs, single leg, body take. You know what I mean? So different strokes for different folks, right? But I say wrestling and grappling, I'm combining the two. I think they're good enough in the combination, right? You know what I mean? To beat Neil Magny, but Neil Magny may be a better submission guy or just as good as a submission guy. He's dangerous off his back. So there's always that with Neil Magny, right? So, but I'm also should win, but it's a dog or pass for me if I'm really being real with you as far as confidence level go. But it's not a dog or pass for me. It's Brito versus Boxadarian, right? I'm going to take Brito in this, right? Both these guys are on a bit of a losing streak. I think both these guys are going to want to strike. Don't think it's going to be a whole lot of wrestling, grappling in here. And if it is, it's going to be Brito because he's the better wrestler, grappler. I don't think Boxadarian is going to try to wrestle at all. You know what I mean? So Jonathan Brito, Johansson, Brito for the win over Boxadarian. We got Lamos versus Julian Robinson next. The next fight, right? This is an interesting fight, right? I think Robinson should win it, but I don't like betting against Lamos either. Lamos is actually a woman that I bet with as a dog to try to get wins. This would actually kind of be, you know, I ain't gonna say a good fight to take, all right, but when you first look at the names, you would think Lemos would probably be the favorite, but Robinson is rolling right now, 16-8 versus 15-5, right? Robinson is rolling right now, striking wise. Lemos is much better. If Robinson can't get her down, then Lemos is going to piece her up, right? She is going to piece her up. But if Robinson can get it down, then she very well could be live for a submission. Robinson's gas tank is A1 at the top of the list, so she can fight for 3 or 5 rounds continuously, right? But it's an interesting fight. May not end up betting this fight given just how volatile it is, right? I'm going to take Roberson to win it, but I don't like betting against Lemos, right? But Roberson should win low confidence. We got Njeku versus Buchicha, right? I'm gonna take Njeku on this. I think he'll be able to keep the fight standing. Buchicha needs to get the fight to the ground. He's not. He can strike a little bit. He's not as good a striker as Njeku. The thing with Njeku is he kind of has that Kevin Holland, Terrence McKinney thing going right, where they could be really hot, really cold, and sometimes they'll check out if they get tired and they lose. They'll just check out like, okay, I'm done. And Chen Njeku kind of has that in him. So you really don't. I really don't like betting on him like that in these fights. But when he's on, he's really, really on uh, right? And but he will check out a fight on you. His chin isn't that strong, and he's moving up the heavyweight. But I think he'd be able to be nimble, be quick, be elusive in this fight against Buchecha, and he'd be able to touch him up from the outside, possibly knock him out. You know what I mean? From the possibly knock him out from the outside as well. Possibly knock him out from the outside as well, right? So Ucheka is probably going. Ucheka is probably going to sleep. You know what I mean? In that fight is what I'm thinking. So Kennedy and Jeku for the win on that tip, right? Moving right along. My bad, my bad. Message. Moving right along, we got Morgan Sherrier versus Costa. This is probably the hardest fight for me to pick on the card. I really don't know who gonna win this fight. Probably not gonna bet this fight. May bet this fight over or something like that. I'm gonna go dog or pass on this. Hopefully if Morgan Sherrier goes dog, then I will be betting Morgan Sherrier. I think I want to bet him, right? But there's also a version where I can see him getting outpointed by Costa or taken down and laid on by Costa, right? So I'm probably gonna go over in this fight. It's a dog or pass for me, and I'm leaning Cherrier, right? We got we got Cesar Almeida versus Ojekaku, right? Not the big Ojekaku, the little brother Ojekaku, right? I'm not really. I know both these guys, right? This is a fight where I'm not overly excited to bet it. Ojekaku kind of just bust on the scene for me. This Ojekaku, right, off the contender series, just bust on the scene. He stopped the guy in the first round. I got a tip, about the guy he was fighting, T.O. Head. Somebody was telling me, yeah, man, take, T.O. Head. He's a veteran fighter. He'll be able to get Ojekaku, right? I said, all right, man, I'm gonna take T.O. Head with you, Bellator veteran, and he ended up knocking out T.O. Head in the first round, right? So I do think Ojekaku should win this fight, but Cesar Almeida, beat Alex Ferreira in a kickboxing match. So not excited to bet that fight as well. I probably won't be betting it. If I do bet it, it'll be a single, right, or a live bet or something like that, right? But I'm gonna go with Ojekaku, right? I feel like I seen chinks in Almeida's armor or his wheel a little bit, right? Hadn't necessarily seen chinks in Ujekaku's yet, right? So we'll go with Ujekaku in the win for that. That's a low confidence pick for me. We got oh shit, my phone did some freaky shit. Okay. We got Jija. I'll be butchering his name, right? Chuckadee, Chickadee, Chica, Chickadee, right? Chickadee versus Vallejos. I'm picking Vallejos, right? This is going to be, another up and comer versus veteran kind of pick. Vallejos should win this. Vallejos is the guy that they want to be. Vallejos is good at striking. So is Chuckadee. That's what he does. He's a kickboxer and he's pretty good at it. So if Vallejos comes out here and strictly fights this fight on the feet, I think he's putting himself in a tougher fight. If Vallejo has any wrestling and grappling, now will be the fight for you, you know what I mean, to go and break it out. If you ever had it, if he had it and stopped using it, right, it's time for you to break it out this fight, right? Because this is most definitely the guy that you will probably need to take down. He has a few submissions, you know what I mean, on his resume. Well, he has a submission, he has a couple ground and pounds, right, on his resume, right? So this would be the game for you to break out. You know what I mean? The ground game, if you got it, if you Vallejos, I am taking Vallejos for the win. Younger, more prime athlete. GG could, start him, right? But I'm going to go with the young boy of Vallejos. We go keep riding that train, Vallejos for the win. And I do like, you know, he is a high confidence pick, even though he's fighting a really good fighter, right? We got Manal Cap versus Brandon Royval, right? I'm going to go with Cap in this low confidence because Brandon Royval puts out a lot of activity. He's very, very active, right? So, and judges like that. So a judge could, get swayed by that. So, a judge could, get swayed by the activity and maybe, give it to him on the cards. But I do think Manel Caps will win because he's a little more dangerous. I think he'll be able to do a little more damage. When he lands, I think it's going to be a little more eye catching, right? So the judges will give it to him on the cards. And if there is going to be a knockout, it's probably going to be Cap knocking out Brandon Royval. It's going to be a striking match, right? I got Manel Cap in that low confidence, right? But Manel Cap should be able to get the victory. You know what I mean? In that one, right? So let's look at let me give you okay, yeah, I actually already have a fight, betting this. I have a bet. My bet is Brito and Asplot, right? My bet was Brito and Asplot. They got me the plus 102, right? but I'ma still give you 5 picks, in this. But I do have one bet on the UFC card already, Asplot and Brito, right? That gets me to plus 102. But we'll go Asplot, Brito. I'm finna write this down and drop this in here for y'all too. And again, if you didn't sound of my voice, I already bet the Asplot and Brito. It's not plus money anymore already. You know what I mean? Because it was sitting like right at the cusp. Right, it was sitting right at the cusp of being plus money. Right. So it's not, plus money anymore. I'm still gonna give you 5 picks right here, right? So we go get ourselves to plus money regardless. Right. So you'll see picks Asplot and Brito. I bet that at plus 102. Um mm, let's go Vallejos. Oof. Let's go Vallejos, man. Right. Let's go Vallejos over Chuck E. Dees. I said Ucas minus 278. I thought we'd be able to get like a plus 200 or something over Vallejos. I guess people think what I'm thinking. So we could just close out with that 3. Right, we'll close it there. I like Fry too, and Fry will be my dog. Blader, Jamie Lynn, Blader probably should wrestle Jamie Lynn. Jamie probably should wrestle. Blader probably should wrestle Jamie Lynn, right? So maybe Blader in there. First fight. Let's go Asplot, Brito, Vallejos. Let's go Blader. Fuck it. 347, man. And again, if you don't wanna add those other 2, right? I bet Asplot and Brito already because I got it at plus money. If you want to wait on it, you can wait on it though, right? But for show purposes, because I just don't want to give you, I don't want to give you 2 picks, right? I don't just want to give you 2 picks, right? So I'm gonna get you right, man. I'm gonna get you right. And then we can slide on up out of here, Jack. Let me drop this in the chat for y'all, get y'all to run down. And I'm gonna let y'all know I already bet Asplot plus Brito, and it was plus 102 when I got it. Right. Right, and it was already plus 102 when I got it, Jack. Right, so let me go run this thing down for y'all. The PFL picks, we'll start the rundown at 46, right? We'll start the rundown at 46, now end is at 48. Then we'll go and slide up out of here. Right? So let me go and give y'all this pick rundown, man. Then we can slide on up out of here. My top PFL picks: Hughes, Antanaga, Cyborg, Javier, Ibrahimov. All right. I think Hughes just a better all-around fighter. I think he's better on the ground and standing. Antagonist, I think he's more dangerous in his fight. Probably going to knock his opponent out. Chris Cyborg, right? She's probably one of the top 3 MMA fighters ever in the world, right? Habarora is going to be in a tough fight with Kevin Jusset. That's probably going to be our value right there. He should be able to pull it through though. The young boy you said is mostly a striker. Ferreira, I think, is more physically, imposing, a lot more dangerous. Youth on this side. The PFL is backing him. Ferreira should be able to get the win in that. And we're going to take Ibrahimo's wrestling to bring the PFL top picks on home. There aren't odds on that PFL just yet, right? And my UFC picks, you can see still rolling down there at the bottom of the screen, all of them. I'm also put my PFL. Matter of fact, let me put my all of my PFL picks up here for y'all now, right? So y'all can see all the picks like I just let y'all see. All of the UFC picks. I put this in the, even though I did it backwards, right? You'll still get it, right? You'll get my UFC top picks with the PFL picks strolling. You'll get my PFL top picks with the UFC picks strolling. But the good part is you get to see them both, right? So you'll know everybody. But my UFC picks are Asplat, Brito, Vallejos, and Blader. I already bet Asplat and Brito at plus 102. If you watch this stream, you know that I was going to give that out, but it's not plus money anymore, right? And I don't want to give y'all, a minus, top picks, right? So I added Vallejos and Blader. I think both of them should be able to get the win. That'll get you the plus 347, right? So those are my top one, two, three, four picks for the UFC card. Right, gave you a bet. Also two bets really, right? Asplet and Brito and Asplet Brito, Vallejos and Blader. Oh my bad. I ain't put them jumps up there. Did I put them up there? I don't think I put them up there, right? But let me say it again, right? We got Asplet, Brito, Vallejos, and Blader. Right there to get you the plus 347. I already bet Asplet and Brito, by itself got me the plus 102. Don't want to give y'all, you know what I mean, minus number. It's not that at this exact moment, right? But those are my top UFC picks. Those are my top PFL picks. Right. I gave you all my UFC picks. You saw scrolling down there in the yellow. I gave you all my PFL picks as you see right there, scrolling down in the yellow. That's all I got for y'all though, man. Skin Hardaway, Southern Teas, ain't the past, ain't the free, just the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Love.